Welcome back to the ITU Spectrum Management Training Program. This is week number 2 of Module 1, the legal basis and the regulatory framework of spectrum management. During this week, we have the following objectives: an explanation of the legal framework under which the ITU operates. We talk about the Constitution and Convention, and also the World Radio Communication Conferences. Also to understand the scope and structure of the radio regulations, and we will have a discussion on why regional cooperation in spectrum management is used, and we have an introduction to the key regional structures. So, about the Constitution, it is the basic instrument of the Union. It sets forth the basic principles for the spectrum management, and the key premise is that each state is free to regulate radio communications as it sees fit, provided it does not interfere with the rights of other states. Those rights and their respective priority are defined in the radio regulations. Under Article 1, the purpose of the Union, we will find that the Union is to maintain and extend international cooperation among all its member states, to promote and to offer technical assistance to developing countries, and to promote the development of technical facilities and their most efficient operation. Also to promote the extension of the benefits of the new telecommunication technologies, to promote the use of telecommunication services, and to harmonize the actions of member states. Also to promote at the international level the adoption of a broader approach to the issues of telecommunications. About some main functions of the Union: effect allocation of bands of the radio frequency spectrum and all what is behind it, coordinate efforts to eliminate harmful interference, to facilitate the worldwide standardization of telecommunication, and to foster international cooperation and solidarity. Also to coordinate efforts to harmonize the development of telecommunication facilities, to promote the adoption of measures for ensuring the safety of life, undertake studies, make regulation, adopt resolutions, formulate recommendations and opinions, and to promote the establishment of preferential and favorable lines of credit, to promote participation of concerned entities in the activities of the Union. The Union has these elements which we briefly already discussed: the Plenipotentiary Conference, we have the Council, the World Conferences, the Radio Communications Sector, the Telecommunication Standardization Sector, and the Telecommunication Development Sector. And we also have the Secretariat, the General Secretariat. Additional to its functions, the ITU is financed by member contributions. It is based in Geneva, and within the Union we have 6 languages: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. In fact, the Convention essentially complements the Constitution in terms how the Union institutions function. In particular, it describes the functioning of the radio communication sector and all what is behind it, what we have seen already in the structure of the radio communication sector itself. The Convention also covers the arrangement of the Plenipotentiary Conference, elections of members to the Council and other boards and bodies, the functioning of the Council, the role of the General Secretariat and the Coordination Committee, and the scope of the various conferences, including WRCs, and of the working groups. Something about the World Radio Communication Conferences. It has to work in accordance with the previously agreed agenda. In majority, it will revise the radio regulation. It will address any radio communication matter of worldwide character and determine questions for study by the Radio Communication Assembly and its study group in preparation for future WRCs. And it will set the agenda for the next WRC. Something about the regional radio communications conferences are conferences of either an ITU region or a group of countries with a mandate to develop an agreement concerning a particular radio communication service or frequency band. The latest RRC was the Regional Radio Communication Conference in 2006 for the planning of the digital terrestrial broadcasting service in parts of regions 1 and 3. A bit further away was the Regional Administrative Conference for planning of the use of the band 1605 to 1705 in the Region 2. That was in Rio de Janeiro in 1988. The Radio Communication Assembly is responsible for the program and approval of the necessary studies, assign questions to the various ITU study groups, which you have seen already before. The ITU also organizes information meetings preliminary to a World Radio Conference. For the O12 conference, 3 information meetings were organized. One in 2009, one in 2010, and one in 2011. In the one on 2009, it was the presentation of the organization of the conference, the preliminary views, priorities and positions of the 6 regional groups, but also the presentation and review of the ITUR preparatory studies by some of the chairmen of the responsible groups. In 2010, there was a presentation on the draft CPM report, the technical report to WRC 12, and that gives an explanation of the draft methods to satisfy the agenda items for the conference. And again, presentation and review of the regional group, draft preliminary reviews, positions and common proposals. And finally, we had the 3rd meeting in preparation to the conference. It gave the presentation of the CPM report and the report of the director. Also the presentation and review of the regional draft, views, positions and common proposal. So something about the legal framework for the conference. Something about the legal framework for a conference. In accordance with number 90 of the Constitution, a World Radio Communication Conference shall be convened to consider specific radio communication matters. The agenda may include the partial or exceptionally complete revision of the radio regulations, so the RR, any other question of a worldwide character within the competence of the conference, or an item concerning instructions to the Radio Regulations Board and the Radio Communication Bureau regarding their activities, and the identification of topics to be studied by the Radio Communication Assembly and the Radio Communication Study Groups. The general scope of this agenda should be established at least 4 to 6 years in advance, and the final agenda shall be established by the Council, preferably 2 years before the conference. This agenda shall include any question which the Plenipotentiary Conference has directed to be placed on the agenda. In summary, the ITU is governed by its Constitution. The conventions show how it meets the requirements in the Constitution, and one of the most important events of the ITU is the WRCs, which will be organized every 3 to 4 years, which are very large-scale events with forward planning for the 2 or more years ahead.